Hey guys, it's Roderick. I'm here with another review of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 13, Episode 13, Messes and Bridesmaids Dresses. So, welcome to my channel. If you're new to it, this is where we discuss television shows, films, with the eye towards filmmaking, acting, directing, and a little bit of reality, all bundled up with a big kiki. So, let's get into it. So, here we are, Episode 13. So, we passed the midpoint part, right? So this is where in the season where we start to look for arcs, right? Character arcs. How are people changing? What are their progression from where we started in the season to where we are now, right? As we move up to our climax kind of resolution part of the thing. You should always kind of look at reality television shows. They really try to map them out like they are fiction, even though they're not fiction, there's some kind of fiction mixed in. So this episode really kind of gave us that we're rapidly approaching the climax and that we're seeing some arcs here, or some arc attempts, I will say is that, right? So another thing I kind of want to discuss is the whole concept behind the fact that, you know, I kind of have this conversation with my best friend Leah about how weddings and funerals really kind of bring out the best and the worst in people, right? Mainly because these are both celebrations, even though a funeral sometimes doesn't have a celebratory, mood to it, but they're both celebrations, right? They're both kind of punctuating ends of journeys from single life to married life to living life to no longer with us life. And people kind of really do get in their feelings when it comes to weddings. The people participating in them, the people connected to people participating in them, because on the base level, everybody wants to feel seen, wants to feel heard, wants to feel that their time with the person either getting married or that has passed away had some value and that people know what that value is, right? So I think that, again, as we talk about compounding hurts, as we talked about last season, I think the wedding just has added a compounding hurt. Now, let's get something clear. This is Teresa and Louie's wedding. They can invite whomever they want to invite. They could have eloped. They could have not eloped. They could have done whatever they wanted to do, right? That is not in dispute. We're going to take that out of context. But if she is serious about moving forward with her brother and her sister-in-law, the wedding was a perfect opportunity to sow goodwill with her brother and her sister. This isn't about who deserves it. This isn't about who is wrong. It's about the right things you should do, right? And I've been beating this horse for literally 13 episodes about no one just wants to do the right thing for the sake of it being right, right? And as we see now, we have another casualty in the Battle of the Gorgas being Louie, when in the fact that Louie did not have to really insert himself and did not have to take any collateral damage. But we'll get to that point. So let's start it off. So we're start off with Danielle. Well, we had Marge and Lexi and the boy. Fine, whatever. So we get to Danielle. She's there. And it's very interesting listening to these ladies kind of recap the Ireland trip, because you get to kind of see the lens of which their experiences kind of taint what happens in Ireland, right? So Danielle's talking to her husband. Oh, this happened in Ireland, whatever. And then she's like, oh, I was hanging on by a thread. I didn't want to have anything here. And the fact is, Danielle, I like Danielle. I think that, now I am of the belief that I just don't think that she was ready for all that this reality television life was for, right? I know there are some people out there who think that she's just really crying wolf and that she really has a more strategic long game on this. I don't think so. I may be surprised, but I think that she just was not really ready for all that her first reality TV show, Girl Trip, and how these women kind of really move in this reality television space. And like Aretha said, it's a different world from where you come from, right? And I think that she has to know to realize that pick and choose your battles, squash what needs to be squashed, and if you just show up every day, you don't have to look for a storyline, right? So she goes about that. And then, because then we get onto this thing where Danielle is out telling her mother the secret that Jennifer Aydin told her about Melissa, which I thought was just a very, very, very bad move, right? You should not be repeating that. That is something that you should not be repeating on camera, because now it goes from, because remember, let's go back. Jennifer Aydin and Teresa never told the secret, right? They never said it publicly. Jennifer Aydin told Danielle, right? Now, Danielle is out propagating this for what, and I recognize that it is maybe wrapped in some concern, but in real life, right? In real life, what you would do is hear that secret and keep your mouth shut, right? But since you're on Israeli television and you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and the paradigm is set up for you to have faux conflict, right? You need to figure out, Danielle has to figure out a way to get out of this situation, because the longer she knows about this, the more the secret is going to be stuck on her and not Teresa and Jennifer Aydin, right? Because let's squash this thing here. Marge is not the source. Marge never repeated the secret on camera. Nobody knew about the secret until Marge's friend, who went and decided to have Mad Day with Teresa and Jennifer Aydin, told them, right? And Teresa and Jennifer Aydin did not repeat the secret, right, on camera. So Danielle needs to extricate herself from this situation, or it's going to end up looking very poorly for her, because it's going to look like that she knew about it, didn't tell Melissa, and then was out spreading it, and she's really getting tripped up in these amateur games. What she should do, which I hope she does, is that she needs to call out, like, even if she wants to have a fight with Marge, be like, and you said about this about Melissa or whatever. Like, she needs to get rid of this as soon as possible, but getting rid of it is not taking it back to Melissa. Melissa does not need to hear about this from your mouth. Now, she may need to hear about it while she's there for a fight, and you may be like, girl, I didn't want to tell you because I knew that it wasn't true or whatever, but this just is a whole lot of mess that Danielle is going to end up getting tripped up in, and it's just an amateur move. It's just a very amateur move, and like I said before, it's a trap, right? So then we go to the Fudas, and they're going to go see their attorney. Now, earlier in the season, I sat with this because I don't like to talk about people's children and people's wives and all that type of stuff. But I sat with this, and through a filter of a licensed attorney for over 20 years, I have now come to the conclusion, I think this entire adoption of Jaden is very, very selfish, right? Now, it would be one thing different, as I've said, if Jaden's mother was no longer with us. That's easy. Like, okay, fine, whatever. But if all you want to do, because this is not about, because Jaden says, I want you to be my mother, I want you to adopt me. John Fuda isn't like, I want this woman to be adopted. None of this has been said on camera. All we see is Rachel Fuda talk about how she feels that the crown pinnacle of her relationship with Jaden is that she should adopt him. And I understand that. I understand you've been providing for him. I understand you've been loving him. I understand you've been taking care of him. That's your job as the stepmother. You married his father. You decided to come into their lives as their family, so there is no brownie points for doing things you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to love this child. You're supposed to treat him like he's your own. You're supposed to integrate him into his family. You're doing all the things a good stepmother should do. Extinguishing another parent's parental rights while that person is still living, I think is very cruel, is very selfish, because at the end of the day, this woman has every right to attempt to repair and have a relationship with her son, and should not have any third party come in and try to extinguish her parental rights 2 years before he becomes an adult. If we were talking about he was 5 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, and she has a sentence of 20 years to life in prison, that's a different conversation. She's out of prison. She can have a relationship with him. In 2 years, he becomes an adult. What exactly are you trying to do or trying to accomplish besides thinking that you can now say, I have the mommy year of the ward or whatever? The child turns 16. In 2 years, he could be an adult. If you want to have some legal guardian or paperwork, use that attorney to draw up paperwork so you can have power of attorney, so you can have legal guardianship in case of some kind of healthcare crisis, and leave the adoption to something else. You're literally talking about like 2 years worth of work, right? For what, right? So it just reeks of selfishness. It just kind of reeks of, I've done all the work. I deserve this reward. And your reward is you married his father. The reward is you're part of his family. You stop looking for extra bonus points for doing things you're supposed to do, right? Be a good stepmother and be okay in that role, right? So that's all I'm going to say about Jennifer Fuda in that situation. Now we get to Jennifer Aydin in this shenanigan, right? Because I'm about tired of Jennifer Aydin and this Bill kabuki theater here, okay? Because here's the thing, right? Because we're going to cut to the chase. So, the daughter comes, and first of all, let's eliminate the narrative that Marge is the reason why her daughter wants to be a marriage counselor. The reason is you don't have boundaries with your children, and you let your children be in grown people's business, right? So that's why your daughter knows everything that's going on, is telling you to wear lingerie, because your daughter does not know her place and should not be in grown people's business, right? But as we see, when her and Bill are having this conversation, the child is within earshot of the entire conversation. That's why your child is all in your business, because you don't know how to create boundaries, okay? You need to talk to Delores, the MVP of boundary making, the baroness of boundaries, if you need to learn some boundaries in your life, right? Because here's the problem. Here's a $1 million question. Why don't you have a help? You got enough money. You can just don't even worry about Bill's money. Use your housewife money and get you help, right? So then if the situation is Bill's like, I don't want other person helping raise my children. I want the mother raising your children. That's a conversation, right? Being like, look, Bill, you can't have me running these kids, running me ragged, give me gray hair, drying out my coochie, making me tired, running me ragged, for you to drag me out the house when I fall over and you put another young bitch up in this house. Nah, we can get somebody Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, do some of the things or whatever, and they already got somebody they help doing it. So what is it that she's so tired of? White women who can't take care of their children, I have no sympathy for, right? So if he's complaining, let him motherfucking complain. I would say this: do you want to complain about your children, or do you care to complain about me when I take you to divorce court, take half your motherfucking money? Give him some hard choices, right? Jennifer Aydin is not giving Bill any hard choices. Bill, do you want to go to therapy? No, Bill don't want to go to therapy. Be like, do you want to go to therapy, or do you want me to get somebody to help me take care of these kids? Do you want to go to therapy, or do whatever? Because it is wholly unrealistic of her to think that her husband, who is a physician working 24/7, is going to come home from his hard day of work and chop carrots and drink yoo-hoo with his children. That's why he motherfucking got you for. That's why he let you run around and spend his money for, because that's what you are there for. If you don't like that setup, renegotiate it, right? Quit sitting there. Look, but the reason she can't renegotiate it, because he can be like, no, I don't want to do it. And no, you're going to take care of these kids, or I can find another bitch who will, right? And then what you going to do, right? Because again, Bill's like, I got 5 children, college tuitions I got to pay for, right? I got all this mansion I got to pay for, light bill, heat bill, water bill. So you need to take something off my plate to fucking deal with these fucking kids. And the fact is, I can have input. Like, that's their setup. If she wants a different setup, renegotiate the setup. Quit going to him, expecting him to do something differently, because he has no motivation to do anything different but to show up and pay the bills and give you whatever crumbs he has left, right? So renegotiate it, girl. Like, the most dangerous person, the most dangerous woman in the world is a rich lady with no prenup. Start giving him some hard choices, and you'll start seeing some hard things being made. And that's what I'll say about Jennifer Aydin. Now, Teresa, her daughters have grown up so much. Like, if you just think about, I've been watching this show for like 13 seasons. They really have grown up to be very beautiful, very stunning, great looking women. So, Teresa has her moment with Joe. They're trying on bridesmaids dresses. I thought that's authentic enough. Teresa knows how to make good television. She knows how when it's her time to scene, when it's her time, to film, she's going to get her money's worth, right? So so Teresa's always going to give you what she needs to give you or whatever, right? And I really do think that Teresa has come full circle. And, I'll get to this, when we get to the end, that at this point, with the way the Battle of the Gorgas is, somebody has to leave. And I don't ever want to try to fuck up somebody's money or try to put somebody out, but we have to see Teresa's arc has been complete. Right? I mean, Joe and Melissa's arc I think all 3 of them, if they really wanted to heal their family, they all should be able to just be like, you know what, we're going to be done with the show. But I think that everybody, especially Joe, Melissa, Teresa, we've seen from where they've come, from where they are now, and I don't think there's that much more road left, right? So I would not be surprised again if Teresa was like, you know what, this is like the end of the, this is them. Okay. Then we get Marge and Lexi, and I totally get Marge, because I get the fact that Marge loves hard, right? Which is why she was so hurt with, when her and Teresa were having problems. And, the thing with Marge is her mouth is just lethal, right? Marge just has a very, very lethal mouth, and she's smart, right? And those are the two worst combinations for these chicks, because Marge would just cut you just so quick and fast that you're like Kill Bill and you're Lucy Liu with the top of your head just flying right on off, and because she'll just do it in a heartbeat. So that's why the girls really don't want to fuck with Marge, because she will cut you and she has the receipts to back it up. But, you know, whatever. I think it's nice she's taking in Lexi and Nino and whatever. So now we get to Joe and Melissa, and, you know, Antonio made the honor roll. Ooh, here comes Nona with the car. I thought that was nice. I mean, a Porsche truck for 17-year-old girl. Okay, whatever. You know, and then they sit around, they talk about the Teresa, the Ireland thing. And I really got the sense that Melissa was kind of telling Joe, this might be my last season with this. Like, I'm kind of ready to get off this roller coaster ride. And I really, again, I don't want to mess up nobody's money. They got children in colleges they want to pay for. They're building this new house. But if Melissa were to bow out and say, you know what, I'm done, Teresa, have it. If me leaving the show will make our relationship better, I'll just leave. I would be okay with that. I think that would be okay. You know, because again, something has to give, because I'm not going into season 14 with Battle of the Gorgas. Like, that's just not happening with me in my life, right? Now we get to the reigning MVP, Delores. Now, if y'all been watching from the primer to now, Delores I started the season really ready to let go and let have on Delores, but Delores has really given me the MVP vibes of this entire season. Why? Because she is consistent, and she is authentic, and she is consistent. Why? Because consistency leads to trust, consistency leads to predictability, and you can be more authentic there. Delores is really giving us the best pieces of this show, because this is really who Delores is. The problem is that we're all conditioned to plates being thrown, tables being toppled, screaming, that we're really getting the insight into Delores and her life. She was married to this man for 30 years. She had a relationship that didn't work out. He was really good friends with her. She's met a man that says, I'm all the man that you need. You need to create boundaries. You don't need nobody else. I got you. And she now has to emotionally renegotiate her relationship with Frank. And it's not really negotiation, because the fact is, look, you're always going to be part of my life. We're always going to be part of each other's lives, but there are some boundaries, and I'm not really budging from that. Delores was respectful. She was compassionate. It was a very unfamiliar situation, because they don't really talk about their feelings. And when Frank started crying, she's like, you need to get up and go to the bathroom. Your tears ain't moving me, because this is me and my man are going to be okay. It doesn't mean you can't call me. It means you can't talk to me, but there are boundaries, and here is what they are. This is a masterclass in boundary setting. This is a masterclass in communication. And Delores is just getting all the MVP awards. And it's sad, because the season's going to end and no one's going to be truly talking about the emotional strides that Delores has shown with Frank, and really how this is the better part of reality television and not the Battle of the Gorgas. The Battle of the Gorgas at the reunion is going to get all the oxygen, and Delores and Frank and Paulie is going to get very little, and that's sad, because this is really what reality television is people navigating new situations and being open and being authentic and showing us. And Delores gets 5 stars across the board, 10s, 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 10s. Like, this is, like, she has just been consistent. I just love it. And again, I came in this season wanting to really go in and let have on Delores, and I can't, because she has shown up and shown out and really shown us what reality television really should be. So now we get to Teresa's bridal shower, right? So it's a surprise, and it's fine. I mean, Jennifer Aydin just kind of irks me, because, like, I think weddings are great. I think weddings are happy moments, but that, like, she's one of those women who really just gets so giddy every time another woman gets married, and I'm just like, okay. So, like, she does the whole bridal shower, and it shows up, and, so Teresa thinks that it's a surprise. So she's in the car with Melania and Adriana. Gia's back at the place. Louie calls. It's like, hey, so Louie wants to have, so they have a rehearsal dinner, then Louie's going to have a dinner at Avra in the city, right? With his mom and just some close family. So Louie calls to confirm who we sending out the text for. Margaret +1, Jackie +1, blah, blah, blah +1. Oh, and I'm not inviting your brother and sister, because, and Teresa quickly takes the phone off the speakers like, hey, we're in the car, we're filming. He's like, oh shit, right? So now we can officially say my inclinations about Louis have been correct from the beginning, right? Louis wants to pretend like he's kumbaya, let's all get together. And the fact is, he doesn't want to fuck with Joe and Melissa because he got burned because he inserted himself in a situation he didn't have to insert him in. Teresa was fine managing that relationship with her brother. It is Teresa's journey to navigate her relationship with her brother. It was not Louis's place to insert himself. So the fact that Louis, instead of being like, all love, let's work. I mean, what was just 3 seasons where he was like scribbling things on pieces of paper, being like, it's time for us to work it out. Do you want peace? Nah, he's all about the shenanigans and the drama. And that's why I said from the beginning, I was like, I just didn't smell right. Because the fact is, why don't you want to invite Joe and Melissa, right? What does it have to do to you? Right? But you know, because whatever Joe is doing to his sister, Joe is doing to his sister. And Joe has always had one sister. Teresa now will have 2 husbands, okay? So let's just be clear. He will always be her brother. You need to learn to play your lane and stay in your place. And I just don't, like, whatever acrimony and bad taste in Louis' mouth that he has because of Joe and Melissa was brought upon himself by inserting himself in a situation he did not have to insert himself into. And it shows because now you don't want to invite people to dinner, and now it got exposed. So what happened to all that kumbaya, all this sitting down? You know, this is, again, be consistent. So anyway, everyone shows up to the bridal shower, and, you know, Melissa shows up, and this is where we talk about kind of like compounded hurts, right? So again, let's be clear. Teresa didn't really fuck Melissa, but whatever. And not that Teresa or Melissa was expecting to have some major role in their bridal shower, but she definitely felt like an outsider going into her brother's only sister's bridal shower, right? And it's not that, I mean, because it seems like that she was not even asked to participate, asked to contribute. You have Jennifer Aydin, who she's known for this long, running around doing everything. And I'm sure that that probably falls on Gia, right? Because if the girls and Jennifer Aydin put this together and the girls didn't feel the need to invite Melissa, that means that well with Teresa's daughters has already been poisoned, right? Because when Gia's like, oh, let me go say hi to my aunt, it wasn't happy, it wasn't whatever, and that is on Teresa, right? That has always been on Teresa for us poisoning the well. When she goes, well, I don't tell my daughters things that are going on with Joe and I unless I have to. You don't have to. Your statement, because the problem is, she says out of one side of her mouth, be nice, be loving, be kind, but then on the other side of her mouth is, fuck my brother, fuck them, fuck Melissa, fuck whatever. Which one you think the child's they're gonna adhere to, right? So you can't tell me that Teresa has not had a part in the plan and why these children feel some sort of way between Joe and Melissa. I'm just not gonna buy it. You ain't gonna tell me no gypsies came, no elves came, no unicorns came. Their perspective has been poisoned by what their mother has said. Because even if they had a very different reaction with dealing with their aunt and uncle, the reaction should always be, we are a family. Like, you know, the whole soul food, this is the fist, and all of that. That should be Teresa's song all the time. So anyway, Danielle shows up, and it's awkward. And Danielle just, again, she's just getting played right. She's just getting scored on right and left. Because you need to squash it. You need allies, right? Danielle needs allies because she's about to expose a major secret and she needs somebody. So if she was smart, right, she would go tell Rachel Fuda, girl, you know what? Let's squash this. I don't want to be fighting with you. I really don't trust you. Take all the blame and be like, guess what I heard, right? And then let Rachel Fuda run and be like, I don't know what I should do. Should I tell? And then run and be like, Rachel Fuda and I knew, right? You need some allies because you're going to be out here on an island all by yourself when this secret comes out and they would have played you for filth and you don't even see it coming. So anyway, then we get to the bridal shower. They surprise Teresa. Yay, whatever. And Teresa goes around and starts thanking people, right? And this is the part I mentioned in the beginning about how weddings and funerals are very touchy, right? Because once you start thinking one person, you have to remember everybody or someone's feelings are going to get hurt. And the fact is that with her only having one brother, so let's be clear. Her leaving Melissa out is wholly intentional. She's at a bridal shower where there's cameras for a show she's filming on with her sister-in-law, right? So she can't say she forgot Melissa because there wouldn't be cameras and lights and all this bullshit if it wasn't for a show that she's on with Melissa. She intentionally forgot Melissa because she don't fuck with Melissa like that. And the problem is that all these petty little digs are all compounded, where random people could come up and look at that and say, you know what, girl, that was petty, that was wrong. And the fact is, no one's taking out the volition or the option that she has to do whatever she wants to do. But you cannot then do what you want to do and complain about why you don't. You can't plant daisies and then complain why you don't have roses coming up. Teresa, and that's the thing with the Battle of the Gorgas. They want to do petty, underhanded, slight dish-ish, and then complain that what they're reaping is not what they're sowing, right? And that, again, is just very exhausting for this show because, you know, somebody in 13 episodes should have said, y'all need to squash this. Like somebody should have said before the wedding, you all need to sit down and make sure the wedding's okay. But that's what happens when you don't have two parents or somebody who could be an appropriate messenger to bring these two parties together. So anyway, that is episode 13. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, hit the alert button, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.